3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hello everybody, welcome to Justifying Nonsense. I'm Nathan Hills, and with me as always is
Jesse Eisenbar.
And today we are at Fallcon 31. 31st Fallcon ever. And
we're doing it live.
You betcha. We're in the hall, just had kids run past us. There's a great old hubbub of people playing games. And we just got back from playing Artemis, which is a space flight simulator, essentially.
Like Star Trek, you could say.
Yeah, it's very Star Trek.
Like the Star Trek Bridge Commander. Sort of. This got the same kind of roles, you could say. Like there's engineering, science, weapons. The fighters are cool, though. That's a cool aspect.
Fighters are really cool.
Which
Essentially,
Star Trek has.
They do.
Really?
Well, maybe not Star Trek Bridge Command, but in Star Trek lore, totally.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
But I don't know about Bridge Command. Bridge Command, I think, is literally you're on the bridge, and
yeah,
you know.
It's got more of a VR focus.
Yeah, totally. I really enjoyed. I really enjoy the game. I tried Helm yesterday, which is pretty fun. You have to enter the direction and then how far away it is, otherwise you're gonna overshoot, like for your jumps and stuff. And it's far more slower paced than when you're doing a fighter, because you have to move back. And our captain actually performed a really fun maneuver where we let the big ship come in. We moved into the middle of the fray, dropped a mine, and then jumped out.
You're new.
Yeah. Last night, let's see, what did I do last night? I ran D&D. I've been running a couple of D&D games. The Death House intro mission for the Curse of Strahd campaign, which is one of the official Wizard of the Coast sanctioned modules. And I played Ultimate Werewolf, where I died in the first fucking round.
Nice.
I know, very classy, right?
Very classy. I've just been running registration all weekend so far.
You betcha.
I'm done for the weekend now. This is my last day.
Much depression.
We did a quick game of D&D.
You betcha.
That was fun.
I'm probably gonna go drop in on that.
Yeah, we got fucking demolished.
We did. What else do I have that's going on this weekend?
Are you hosting anything else? Just more D&D?
That's all I got for the weekend.
Nice.
Tonight I'm gonna go help during the auction. Because they auction off board games that people want to sell, right? But I'll be helping do money stuff for that. Basically tell runners who take the games to the field and accept cash, can put your money in like blocks or whatever, right? So you know, I get to handle money now. Woo, woo.
Hey, I got to count it.
I know you did.
I got to touch it.
I mean, I think I'll get to touch it.
The fuck? I got to smell it. I got to hear it.
What did it sound like?
Money.
No shit.
I don't know why you asked.
What else did we... We're gonna see if we can get a couple interviews in, but we're not sure, simply due to the fact of it's the middle of the con and everyone's busy. But we'll see what we can pull together. We've got some other stuff hopefully coming up. We'll hopefully be able to get back into the studio next week.
Next week, yeah.
Get some more stuff recorded.
Actually, next week's probably not gonna work for me again.
God damn it!
And then the next week I'm gone, so we're gonna have to squeeze some time in.
Where are you going?
Seattle.
Right. Lego nerd.
You don't have to be a Lego nerd. You can just be a regular nerd.
You just have to somewhat like Lego and not be scared by it or something.
Yes.
Alright, so music news. 'Cause there is some music news this week. What exactly came out? 'Cause I don't remember, because I'm retarded.
So Friday. No, Thursday.
Thursday?
Thursday. Mumford & Sons dropped a new single.
Right.
It was okay. It's pretty good. It was out of the blue too. I had heard nothing until then. Arkel's dropped a new single this past week. It's good.
New Metric album came out,
Yeah, new Metric album.
which is, I listened to it. I'm not sure I like it. I'm going all the way through, but it's
I'm not-
Metric.
Not really a Metric fan.
Metric is okay. I like their old stuff. This seems a little bit more on the pop side.
Her voice is too whiny.
I know. What else did we get? We got a new single from Disturbed's new album, which is definitely on the mellow side. It's more of a ballad, but I like it. It's about addiction and shit. Because, it's apparently about, how you know that person who's addicted and they're trying to get off and get clean. Or something like that. That has to do with being
I know
addicted
all about
to...
that, Nathan.
What the fuck am I addicted to?
Coffee. You scarfed down that pumpkin spice latte in less than 2 minutes.
It was more than 2, more like 5.
At 130 degrees.
It was a tall. It's really small.
It's actually a medium.
No, it's not.
A tall. Oh wait, never mind.
It's a tall.
God,
Grande's the medium.
Failed my interview.
Oh yeah, Jesse's got an interview with Starbucks.
Yeah, next Friday. That's why I'll be busy.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it won't take all day.
Yeah, but it's in the afternoon. I'll be busy.
Okay. I'll definitely ask you how it went after, though.
I'll definitely tell you how it went because they'll tell you. They tell you the same day if you got the job.
Oh yeah, they
on
told
spot.
me mid-interview
Oh yeah.
because I was like sitting there and it went really well for me, and the guy was like blah 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 blah. 'Cause I asked him whatever question, and he was like, oh, by the way, you got the job.
And you're like, oh nice.
I was like, sweet. I mean, inside I was like, fuck yeah, woohoo, let's go, I got a job. But, I tried to keep it as chill as possible, just like, cool.
Yeah,
Great.
that's whatever. It's like, whatever, man. I mean, I didn't really want it, but it's cool.
Don't tell them that. You're fired right now, motherfucker.
Take your place.
Yeah. We're still working towards live streaming. Expect that. December.
Yeah,
December we'll start live streaming. Get the hype going. We'll try to work out a schedule, if possible.
Not likely.
Just to keep it somewhat regular.
Somewhat regular.
And we'll definitely try to send out reminders and announcements of when we're doing it, times, and try to get everything set as early as possible. We have the camera that we need. We just need to actually get a computer.
One of the laptops should do. I don't know. We've got to test. We got to do some testing.
I think my laptop could do it now that it
I don't know,
isn't
Nathan.
running 120 million things.
I don't know. We'll find out. We'll have to do some benchmarks.
Yeah. We'll test it though. We'll see how it goes. And also we'll hopefully try to see if we can get some guests on a little bit more. Try to get some outsiders into our little exclusive club.
We're hoping to get someone from Fallcon, but didn't work out.
Yeah, there's still a chance.
There's still a chance.
I mean,
You're here all weekend. You could get some interviews.
That's exactly. My hope is maybe sometime tomorrow I'll get something. I'm not sure how to pull things off this, but I'll send what I can over to you. And then, we'll get something edited up and hopefully released next weekend. Somewhere around there.
Yeah, something like that. Or sooner, maybe Monday.
That'd be amazing. I mean, I'm gonna sleep Monday because it's been
I can't sleep.
early fucking mornings, late nights, and Sunday the con ends at 4. But normally all the directors, of which my mom is one, will go and have dinner, right? Like Swiss Chalet or whatever, right? So we'll probably go eat and then come back home for like 9 or 10, which is earlier than we've been getting to bed, but still it's late. And then Monday sleep, hopefully some video games. My dad's playing Twilight Imperium, I believe is what it's called. It's a stupid fucking long not role-playing game, but like a
Is it like Risk?
similar. It's area management, worker placement sort of thing, but it takes like half a fucking day to play. He's on session 3, of shorter things. They've been playing from 6 to 10. So we'll be doing that. And then, that's actually important. And the CBC series based off Phantom
That's
Green
important.
Gables. Yes, it is. Fuck you. The new season is airing on Sunday, the 23rd. So hyped.
Woo.
I like that show, man.
Woo.
Murdoch Mysteries is coming back again, too. That looks pretty cool.
I'd be excited, but their most recent season is on Netflix, so I'm not caught up.
Yeah, it is online, though. You can find it at their own
That's so
website.
much work.
It's so easy, man. cbc.ca/Murdoch
Last time I
Mysteries.
just turned on a TV show without watching it with my parents. I don't watch anything other than YouTube.
Get a fucking life.
And watching TV is getting a life?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ask any Game of Thrones fan. Which is in its I can't believe that's its last season.
It's been going on for years, man.
I know, but admittedly, the season episodes aren't necessarily short. They're like movies in themselves.
Yeah.
And Big Bang Theory is ending this year. So much stuff is going away.
I know.
Sad. But they're bringing back Star Trek with Patrick Stewart, so I'm okay.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
And they're bringing back Avatar as a live action.
I don't know how I feel about that. I guess we'll have to see until it comes out.
I am hesitantly hyped. They've got the original showrunners behind the anime producing this one. They've got the original composer, so fuck yeah. And the concept art that they released is pretty good. But yeah, I think it could be done well, provided they don't do what M. Night Shyamalan did and don't. They gotta stick to an appropriate amount of time for the entire thing. So I expect either a full recreation of the original show as live action, or some long ass movies. And I expect the names to be right. No Ongs, it's Aang. And yeah, don't make the monsters fucking hideous.
Oh god, that movie is so bad.
I've never seen it.
I've seen like a little bit, and I was like,
I
oh
don't
god,
want
I can't
to
watch
see
this
it.
anymore.
But with the original people heading it, I think that they'll be able. It's their vision, so I trust them to some extent. But then again, it could also be a fucking cash grab.
Yeah, we've yet to see.
Welcome back to Justifying Nonsense. I'm here with Paul Saxberg, game designer and community manager of Roxley Games. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm having a blast.
So, if you can tell me a bit about Roxley, they're an Alberta-based publisher, correct?
Yes, we produce games, board games. We are based here out of Calgary, although we have team members and contractors in Edmonton and Quebec and Spokane and a growing list of other places as well. But the core team is here in Calgary.
Right. So what games do people know you for? What are the ones that if I've heard of anything from Roxley, it's probably this.
Okay, so we have a short list of games. I can actually list them all in total.
Right.
So far, we have Super Motherload, Steampunk Rally, 2 versions of Brass, Dice Throne, and also coming out soon, a number of other ones coming out soon. Santorini is the one that has hit the mainstream, so if you're not a gamer, you may have seen Santorini in Barnes & Noble or Target or Chapters, and also Dice Throne's now appeared in Barnes & Noble as well, so it's going into the mainstream.
Right. So, talk to me a little bit about Roxley's history. Like, you only have, probably like 10 games. Like, I can definitely count them on my hands.
Yeah, not even, yeah. So
how long have you been around?
Roxley's first game was Super Motherload, so that was published in 2015. And we put a lot of time into polishing and perfecting and developing our games. There's a lot of publishers out there, bigger publishers, that will produce a half dozen games a month. And power to them if they can do that. But we're perfectionists. We don't like to produce anything that's half-baked. And so we put a lot of development time into our games. So we will even as we continue to grow, we're probably only going to do a few titles a year, at least for the near future.
So, you mentioned Santorini and Dice Throne. Can you talk to me a little bit about those games? Basic premise, gameplay, like what's...
Santorini is actually my favorite game. It's super accessible. You can play it. We can teach it. We can teach it to 6-year-olds. Like the very first reviewer we sent it to played against his 6-year-old daughter. She beat him 3 games out of 4. It's a simple abstract game where you're running around an island, putting blocks in play, and trying to build a tower of 3 and get on top of them. But you can block your opponent everywhere they go because they can't move up more than one space at a time. I actually still regard it as my favorite game though because while the rules are incredibly simple, the strategy is very deep. Dice Throne was the other one you asked about. This is also a super accessible game, so it's another reason why we acquired that one. We partnered with the creators of it. Reviewers are describing it as Magic the Gathering meets King of Tokyo, but it's basically like combat Yahtzee with pre-constructed characters with a fantasy theme, and it's a little bit like the board game version of like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, where each character's got their own set of combat moves. Super simple rules, very exciting to play, a lot of high energy moments.
Yeah, that's one that I played for like the second time yesterday, and feels very, very D&D-esque to me. And it's just got that really... It's fast-paced, but in-depth enough that you can really strategize, okay, how am I going to do this? How can I get the best possible damage output or healing of this terrible roll I just encountered?
Right, and because there's a deck of cards and a lot of sort of manipulation in those cards, and you choose which and what cards to play, which and which dice to re-roll, like a lot of people kind of look at it and initially dismiss it as this game looks very random. And I confess I was in that group at first when I first saw it. But after you play it, you realize there is some strategy to this. There's actually some tactics, and there's moments where your decision makes a really big difference in what you're doing.
Right. So, you're also a game designer.
Yes.
What are you working on? Like, what's
my current prototype is a very light card game called 7 Deadly Sins. It's kind of, my attempt for this was, I remember when I was a kid, I used to play Uno all the time with my family.
Right.
But now that I'm an educated game designer, I know Uno's not actually that good at game. So what I wanted was Uno that had strategy and tactics and had a theme that's heavily integrated into the game. So just like Uno, you're trying to get rid of your cards. Unlike Uno, the cards are like little sort of mini games, and if you play them wrong, they'll punish you, or they'll reward the other players because they're thematically themed around the deadly sins, and each of those is self-destructive in some way.
And then it also, you can't just you don't need to run over your cards once. You have to do it multiple times in order to win. Correct?
Yes, you have to empty your hand repeatedly, and each one it's actually based off an old game called Crazy 8 Countdown, where you played Crazy 8, so it's basically Uno, but every time you empty your hand, you reduce the number of cards, and the rules change slightly.
Right.
And so it has a lot more sort of take that in it, because a lot of the cards are things you can play nasty tricks on. I can force you to draw cards, but that can backfire on me, so it's got a high level of interaction in that respect.
And then a more technical question. When it comes to being a developer versus being a publisher, like how do the two interact? How does that work? Because that's something I'm not very familiar with.
That's actually a really cool question. I'm very, very pleased by that question. I love talking about this sort of thing. So before Roxley existed, about 4 to 5 years ago, pretty much all the people in our group, in our circle of people, we were just game designers. We just wanted to be game designers. And most of us didn't want to have the kind of jobs that are involved in being a game publisher. However, being a designer has some drawbacks, and a lot of us had different sort of bad experiences, and Gavin was like, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and make our games, and I'm going to make them right, and I'm going to do everything properly. And so becoming an employee of that company, becoming a part of that team, on the one hand, it's been kind of bad because it means I have a lot less free time, a lot less spare time to do game development and playtesting. On the other hand, it's been super educational because I do a huge portion of the demoing for Roxley, and so I know now way better what's involved in teaching people to play games. Like you're a Fallcon volunteer, so you know the Fallcon teaching method.
Yes.
And not everybody knows that, so like it's very easy to find games that are almost impossible to teach in a simple, fast way, and I'm sure you've had that problem.
And to be honest, yeah, it doesn't always work, and In several, quite a few circumstances, I find I don't use it, or I do a little spin on it.
Right. And so for me, this kind of backs up into the design process where I've had the experience of teaching Santorini, for example, which is something you can teach in a minute, and or
Totally.
dice thrown as well. You can get people started right away. And that, to me, just makes it a better game. So like we also make Brass and Steampunk Rally, which are both excellent games, but they both take a much longer time to teach someone to play. And this does not help their sales. This does not help their popularity, even though they're very good games.
Yes, that's always something that has made me less inclined to play Brass is the time that it takes, and also the fact that I'm not a super strategic person, but it's the engine building thing definitely intrigues me.
Well, Brass in particular, it's very much sort of a connoisseurs type game,
Right.
but it does have a different demographics. For people who like that kind of game, this is intended to be one of the best ones for you.
Yeah,
But a game like Dice Throne, you can teach it to anybody. You can teach it to somebody who's not a gamer. You can teach it to kids. People are teaching it to their boyfriend or their girlfriend, their wife, their husband, who's not a gamer. And I get that back from a lot of people going, oh my god, I can play this with my family. My family won't play anything with me. And so that's where it would have the advantage.
yeah, and that's one of the things I really like about Roxley is many of their, what I would consider their best games are so incredibly accessible. You can introduce either people who aren't gamers but are interested in it, or those who are, sort of semi-gamers, and really get them hooked.
Right, and then a lot of those people will move on into the deeper stuff like
Totally.
Brass and discover how awesome that game can be, whereas they wouldn't have gotten there if they hadn't had the intermediate steps of something like Santorini or Dice Throne.
Exactly, which is really useful for you guys as a company, because you can have these really nice, light, easy games, and then have these other things for the person who's like, okay, I liked that, that was fun. What else you got?
Well, yeah, and we don't want to specialize in a particular kind of game. We
Totally.
ideally would like to be good at everything. So we do have a party game coming out. We do have other games coming out that don't match the same genres as our existing games.
Totally. So I've played this party game that you've mentioned.
Guerrilla marketing, yes.
Yeah, are we allowed to talk about it?
Yes, we are.
Alrighty then. Can you explain guerrilla marketing? Because I love it, and I'm not sure if I can explain it.
Thank you. So guerrilla marketing, the concept is that we are, a marketing department has been fired and replaced with guerrillas, because they're so incompetent that the guerrillas could do better, and we are those guerrillas. And we're going to be, the game's playing in 2 main rounds, so similar to a party game called Time's Up.
Right.
And in those rounds, the first round will be generating the names of products. So like a letter dice will create an acronym like TMP or something like that. And you'll have a product, so it might be food trucks. And so you would have to think of a food truck that starts with TMP. And so everybody will answer this in some way. So it might be like, the Meat Packers is my food truck, right? But if you're playing like 6 to 8 players or whatever, you'll get 6 to 8 answers, and somebody's going to judge which is the best food truck submitted, and they will retain that answer in the second round. In the second round, we're all going to do this again and try and generate the marketing slogan for the Meat Packers or whatever ends up being the winner. However, the categories that you judge these by are not just normal categories. So for food trucks, you might have something like the food truck with the noisiest engine,
Right.
or the food truck with the most health code violations. So like they're bizarre.
I've played with that one. That one's a little, that one gets fine.
Yes. So you can have very funny interactions sometimes between these.
One of the things I really like about guerrilla marketing is it fills a niche that I really feel needs to be filled, of a party game that can go either very adult or not.
Oh, yes.
Which I think is really cool. I could play that with my 12-year-old cousins or younger friends, or I could play that with my my older teenage friends who, let's just say, may not be
Right.
the
So
most
like some games like
family
Cards Against
friendly.
Humanity can only be played with a certain type of people.
Exactly.
Because a lot of
Exactly.
people don't want to play it. But whereas a game like Guerrilla Marketing is more like something like Say Anything, where
Yes.
game scales to the level of the group you're at.
Totally.
So if that group wants to stay family friendly, the game will stay family friendly. If that group is like drunk and rowdy, the game will get drunk and rowdy.
Which is really, really cool. And then my last question is, what is your favorite game not published by Roxley, and why?
Not published by Roxley?
Yes.
Onitama.
Okay. And why?
Onitama is I like it for a lot of the same reasons I like Santorini, which is my favorite game. It's super simple. The rules are just insanely simple. You can teach it to anybody. You can teach it to kids. You can teach it to non-gamers. But it has simple tactics in it, but it has that extra level of strategy. And it feels very much like Aikido. If you're not familiar with Onitama, every time you make a combat move in that, like an abstract move in that game, it's not a combat move. You hand the movement card to your opponent.
Right.
So every time you use a weapon, you're giving it to your opponent. So you have to be very, very careful what moves you make, because you're just passing your opponent power every time you do it.
Well, that actually sounds like a really cool game. I'm definitely have to try it. It's not one I'm familiar with, but I'm always on the lookout for games like Santorini that are simple.
If you like Santorini, you will like Onitama.
But
we don't publish that. We don't have any
oh,
stake
yeah.
in that. I just personally love it.
Yeah, which is totally what I was asking you. What do you like? But thank you for talking to me and taking some time out of your
Thank you for taking the
time
time to talk to me.
running the booth. And